one of the big issues we touched on a minute ago, people like Curtis Wright. He's not the only one to leave the FDA and go right into Big Pharma. Almost every commissioner does. Scott Gottlieb, he was under Trump. He was the FDA commissioner, went right off to Pfizer. He came on my show and tried to tell me nothing to worry about with any side effects as he's working for Pfizer. It's like, we know we can't trust these people. So, A, what are we going to do about those people? And B, is there anything else we need to worry about? Because it's not just people who are at FDA and leave. It's also panels of Big Pharma representatives who oversee the process as a drug gets approved here at FDA.
When Curtis Wright approved the original FDA label, was there internal pushback?
Oh, yeah. Diane Snitchler emailed him that Purdue's less addictive claim sounded like bullshit.
What was Mr. Wright's response?
He said, actually, Diane, this is literally true.
So, Curtis Wright is the FDA medical review officer who approves an unprecedented label for Purdue, and then he goes and works for Purdue. So, do you think there's quid pro quo with Purdue to grant such generous wording?
Yeah, well, I get that it has the appearance of corruption, but it's possible there wasn't. What Curtis Wright did is the way the industry works. It's a revolving door, where as soon as people leave the government, they go and work for the exact people they were regulating for 5 times the money. And it's all legal.
What appears to be corruption is simply how the system works.
What, if anything, is being done about that?
Well, we have to do 2 things. Number one is we have to partner with industry and pharma to facilitate the process, to make it user-friendly and expeditious. We shouldn't be in a receive-only mode. We want American pharma companies to do well and companies that do business in the United States to do well. But the scientific evaluation needs to be independent. And that's why today we're announcing we are removing industry members, pharma members from FDA advisory committees. I was shocked when I learned that employees of big pharma companies sit on FDA advisory committees as members of those committees. So we're going to be replacing them whenever statutorily possible with patients and family givers, family caregivers. We are going to be inviting pharma companies to send representatives to the advisory committees, but they can sit with the rest of the public and watch and pose questions as the rest of the American public can. So
that speaks to it doesn't stop at FDAers leaving and going directly to Big Pharma to work pushing the drugs they just approved while government employees. It's also, while the FDA is approving those drugs, Big Pharma right now has a role in pushing for it, in advising the people who are the decision makers. And so on that second piece of it, at least, right now, you're stopping that.
We're stopping that for every committee where we can by statute, and we're replacing them with patients and family caregivers. And the idea is that there should not be a cozy relationship. There should be a user-friendly process for industry, but not a cozy relationship. Because let's be honest, a lot of people in the United States feel that the system is rigged. A lot of people feel that the relationship is too cozy between pharma and regulators. And so this is an agency that belongs to the American people. And so we can work with pharma and at the same time ensure that scientific evaluation process is totally independent. And on those advisory committees, the pharma and device members of those advisory committees will say that they're non-voting members. But that is a sort of a close club of individuals that has a running dialogue, and they meet and they become friendly. And it's okay to be friendly, but we need the scientific evaluation, the voting, to be totally independent. And so people ask, are you anti-pharma or pro-pharma? Mm-hmm. And the reality is we're pro-pharma, but our evaluation has to be independent. And we cannot have any more indications for chronic pain written for a drug based on a 14-day study where the regulator then goes immediately and works for the company. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing that breeds distrust. And that's why people perceive that this agency, the FDA, has been captured by industry, and it is not captured by industry. It is owned by the American people right now.
How do we stop the first problem with all the FDA commissioners and the top head honchos doing their stint in government service and then going out to work for Big Pharma like they did in the Purdue Pharma case with Curtis Wright, and making 5 times more?
I don't know. We live in a free country. I do know some of these individuals, and they are good people, and they're all God's children. They're doing what the market incentivizes. But when it comes to their influence on the operations of the FDA, that is something that we cannot tolerate. We cannot have people who leave as regulators, go to the industry, and we've thought about an ethics pledge, we've thought about all kinds of things. It's non-binding because we live in a free country. You can't control someone after they leave an employer. But what we can do is create a culture here where people want to stay. We can ensure that people who leave don't have undue influence. And so many of the former...
I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah.
If somebody leaves the FDA and goes to work for one of the drug companies, then you should look back to see whether they were involved in approving any of that company's drugs during their tenure over the previous 5 years. And it should kick in an automatic review on that drug and the approval.
When I got this nomination for the job, I cannot tell you how many lobbyists, former members of Congress, the swamp reached out to me. This is the swamp. I mean, I was in the operating room, and the next day I discovered what the swamp was.
You were swampy, surrounded by the swamp creatures.
Surrounded by the swamp creatures, and immediately, this is how it happens. We want to help you with your confirmation. We want to write a letter on behalf of our company to the senators on your committee. We know these senators. We're going to talk to them if it's okay with you. And you know what I said? Don't talk to the senators. I don't want your letters. They're not for free. Those are obligations that then you feel indebted to return once you're in office. And I'd rather not get confirmed into this job than have those obligations.
Oh, right on. And you were confirmed. You're the only Trump nominee that's had as many Democrats cross over to support you. You've gotten more than anybody, I think. Was it 56-44?
Yes, it literally should be nothing political about the FDA. We're talking about values. Look, Republican, Democrat, independent moms came out and voted for President Trump, and they believed in Secretary Kennedy's Maha mission. There's literally nothing political about looking at the influence of food colors and ingredients and evaluating the GRAS standard and getting infant formula without seed oil and added sugar and rewriting our nutrition guidelines, which we're doing right now. These are the most apolitical things in society. Of course, you're going to have media try to spin things, of course, but I think people see through that.
You've heard about tariffs recently, plus inflation, supply chain disruptions. It's a lot, but there is a silver lining that most people missed. President Trump specifically exempted gold and silver bullion from the tariff talk. The administration preserved the ability to diversify into precious metals. If you are concerned about your savings, consider a free consultation with a Birch Gold precious metals specialist. The first step is to text MK to 989898 and receive your free no-obligation info kit on gold. Learn how to hold gold and silver in a tax-sheltered account. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a gold IRA for no money out of pocket. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of thankful customers, consider texting MK to 989898. Again, text MK to 989898 to claim your free info kit right now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.